attack. Those foreign to the pestilence takes me. Or is it now simply part of what I am? It has been so long. The difference hardly matters. But a Paxultak, how comes it here, to Yaesha? What manner of power it has that it sees whole worlds as mere neighbors. It is no wonder the Empress fears all Paxultak. I am Bedel of the Vaunt. When this world was young, the pan did service to the green and growing things. Now, the pan betrays the world. And the world, the wolf, betrays the pan. The Ravager, plague of the pan and defiler of the dough. The wolf hunts all, yet is itself unhunted. To the shame of all pan. Once part of the balance, the immortal Ravager has cast aside this world and pledged fealty to the pestilence that would destroy all worlds. And the red dough, that which held the Ravager in check for long and long, has not been seen in an age. If it seeks to save its own life and world, the Paxultak must hunt the Ravager and end it. The beast is not alone. The Lamir have given themselves to it in service. Once servants of the Eternal Empress, many Lamir have been seduced by the Ravager's blood-soaked tongue, and thus betrayed the ban. Beware, Paxultak. They will fight until the beast's final breath. I can assure the Paxultak it will be nothing of the sort. Ask its questions. I offer what truth I have. The beast is a part of Yaesha. Wolf and doe, doom and hope, were already here when the ban crossed the darkness. The Vaunt saw both in a vision, but alas, my ancestors hid the former. At the height of our empire, the Ravager attacked and nearly destroyed the ban. It was only through the Song of Ifir that we were able to quiet the beast. Would that we had slaughtered it then, but the Lamir stayed our hand in the interest of the balance. The balance of life, Paxultak. That by which all things are connected to all things. Where the Vaunt lived in service of the guardian that gives life, the Lamir served to inter the dead. It was they that saw two sides to everything. The Lamir asserted that a healthy forest holds both flowers and fangs. Hope and doom. Life and death. If we destroyed one without thought, we would ultimately destroy all. So, the Ravager was spared, kept at peace by song and strain for long and long, until it came. No, not Ford, nor the Destroyer, nor the Paxultak before me. We destroyed, nonetheless. With the Ravager's peace broken, the unliving pestilence took its place. All things became corrupted, and I became this. Yes, the root, as the Paxultak put it, have broken the balance. It is their purpose, for they are the end of balance, the end of all things. Now, to save itself, the Ravager serves the pestilence as faithfully as the Lamir served the wolf. The balance is undone. Only the death of the Ravager and the restoration of the doe can renew it. I know this in my bones. A spirit worthy of praise. A blessed portent of hope. The doe is life and protection. Archetypal grace to confront the Ravager's hunger. For an epoch and more, the doe has led her counterpart on a chase. Eternal. Alas, no more. For long and long, doe and wolf have been embattled, neither emerging the victor. For neither can. The one may gore and the other gnash. Neither will kill the other. Yet those foreign to Yaesha, those not bound to the balance, are under no strictures. Paxultak ended the wolf. Pestilence gave it new life. The balance has been shattered, and the future is uncertain. If the wolf can die, the doe may as well. And the pestilence holds no compunctions for consequences. The children of the doe believe the balance was ever a lie. That the Ravager should have died at the first, and the doe must be reborn. I can agree with them on the latter. Yaesha's only hope is for Foreign to stop Foreign. Paxultek must face the pestilence and all who would side with it. The children of the Red Doe are innocence and naivete. They believe the balance was broken when the Empress first ate the fruit of life. If the balance was ever real to begin with. They're idealistic, unreasonable, foolhardy. And yet, when I look at what our ways have wrought, and how faithfully the children followed the doe, I find it harder to question their beliefs. I was attacked long ago. Seasons and seasons. It started as a small wound, but then it grew. Consumed me. Now, there is more of the plague than the ban. In truth, I know not why I still live, if living this truly be. Perhaps the pestilence wants something from me, from this body, and I live only because I fight. It is a fight I will lose. This is certain. The pestilence grows inside me, even now, as we converse. It cannot be outlasted. Hold a moment, Paxultek. That circlet upon its brow. How came it by this thing? Ah, a statement so simple, yet vast in implications. A sufficient explanation, to be sure. Yet does the Paxultek know whose crown it wears? What legacy rests upon its vacant pate? Ah, it speaks with the air of wisdom, for two such circlets there are not. The last king of the Pan. He who led us out of plague and onto the dark sea, guiding us ever steadily to Yaesha's embrace. So, the Paxultek is a student of the Pan. Indeed, Colgate died in body, but not in vision. The last king is an enduring symbol of our resilience and resourcefulness. And so, there is another gift it should receive, for the two are of a piece. And the Paxultek is of the same spirit as their former owner. Wear this well, and may its vision likewise never.
Paxultek, it is here. Friend Paxultek, it returns. And of course it has. Long ago the Paxultek and I spoke of songs and... Ah, of course. It is not the same Paxultek. Forgive me. The horns, it does not have them. A new friend then, hmm? So what brings it to beleaguered Yaesha? Surely Paxultek are a brave and brazen people to explore the jungle so lightly. Though it is said, truly so, that none is more beautiful than Yaesha. If Paxultek seeks purpose, perhaps it may find it in the temple ahead. A dark beast has taken its lair within. Alas, the great water harp which Tales tell once opened the temple has been shattered for an age and an age. There is no hope without its song. Yet beware, friend Paxultek, for the Ravager has been killed before. There is none more powerful than that which shakes off death like fallen leaves. Of course. Quite so. Paxultek have graced this world for generations. The Elder, the one it calls for. The Destroyer, to whom many faces fell. The Wanderer, who faced the Ravager and lived. Alas, songs are not sung of Paxultek, but I am blessed to have met many. Its kind bring this one joy and song. I seek hope, friend Paxultek. Yaesha is broken. Corruption waxes while the tree wanes. The balance groans in pains of birth. Yet through it all, the song of Aether has hung in the air. One could always hear it in the wind and water, sand and star. I came to the temple hoping to hear its melodies once more, not on the wind, but in plain truth, as it was meant to be. Alas, I fear the song is lost forever, destined to live in memory alone. There is much to tell, though, alas, I am no scholar. Suffice to say, the Ravager and Doe are the heart of this world, the very essence of the balance. The Doe is life, the Ravager, death, each necessary in equal measure, if the Lemir are to be believed. Yet now, the Ravager serves the rot, the corruption that ingests Yaesha piece by piece with each passing day. I do not know what will become of our mother, but I trust the songs. So long as we have music, we have hope. Ah, a tragic tale woven into many ballads. The story of the Water Harp is the story of Yaesha and the balance. It is the story of the Pan. The great wolf, the Ravager, decimated our people. It was said that it could not be killed, for to do so would upset the balance and bring upon us even worse calamities. So the harp was fashioned to soothe the beast with music. And soothe it did, but only for a time. The beast escaped, silencing the harp in the process, ending its song for long and long. The beast is chaos, and the balance ineluctable. The balance does not concern itself merely with life and death, love and hate, freedom, suppression. The balance governs all. Friend Paxultek, it returns. Does it not remember? The Paxultek and I spoke of a song and... Ah, of course. It is not the same Paxultek. Forgive me. The horns, it does not have them. A new friend then, hmm? So what brings it to beleaguered Yaesha? It speaks of the one of many. The once god and guardian of the Pan. There is, or was, no being in Yaesha more powerful. Yet now it is corrupted. It rests now within the Thane, befouling its very leaf and limb. Travel through this temple to the far woods and on to the Widow's Court. The Thane can be found thus. But beware, friend Paxultek. The Thane is a dark place, bedeviled by the rot that now consumes our forest. Tread lightly. Yes, ask its questions, Paxultek. Quite so. Paxultek have graced this world for generations. The Elder, the one it calls for. The Destroyer, to whom many faces fell. The Wanderer, who faced the Ravager and lived. Alas, songs are not sung of Paxultek, but I am blessed to have met many. Its kind bring this one joy and song. I rest only. These lands have not been safe since the one of many was taken from us. Yet none have bothered me here as of yet. The forest dies, Paxultek. The balance has either failed or betrayed us. There is little hope now, except in song. Praise be the one of many. Mortal faces lie, but the one of many is incapable. Veracious beyond question. So goes the song. The god of many faces has watched over every generation of the Pan, even before our people found Yaesha. Even when our songs praised the tree over the god, yet our negligence brought a cost. And the one of many was killed by, forgive me, a most recusant Paxultek. Now the waning of our great tree has allowed corruption to come, infecting our once mighty guardian. I fear greatly for Yaesha, friend Paxultek. But we must hold faith in the balance. Ah, the eternal Empress, Genas the Perennial, Mistress of the Thane, favored of forgive me, great Genas has so many titles, I can scarce remember them all. It was she who discovered the Tree of Life, and it is she who brings peace to the Pan for generation after generation. The Thane is our life, the Empress our root. Yet the tree wanes, and corruption devours Yaesha's every corner. Her divine permanence has protected us for long and long, but is she as enduring as the songs say? Listen to me. I must trust the songs. Hope and faith are kin, and one cannot have one without the other. Even now, yes, corruption swallows all things, and the balance is held in check. Or perhaps the balance turns against the Pan. The outcome is the same. It began slowly at first. A remote grove in the forest. Then the death of our god. Now, even the beasts, the gods, and nature itself succumb to the rot. Some blame Paxultek. But though Paxultek have come and gone, the rot both precedes and remains. If fault lies anywhere, I think it may lie with the Pan.
What summons me from my ethereal wanderings?
Muzar. What kind of beast is this?
Paxultek. I can share my wanderings with you. But first, I seek the knowing, the truth of nature held within your ark. You want to answer? So I will ask. Answer these questions true, sweet beast, so that your ark may be known and your eye may open. And do choose wisely. Answer from your heart. You are an innkeeper. One of your loyal patrons proclaims he is to be imprisoned 2 days hence for a crime of which he is innocent. In his final days of freedom, he plans to poison those who have wrongly accused him. You know he speaks true, but you can stop him. A simple slip of Kyber seed powder into his next drink, and he will be bedridden but otherwise unharmed for days. Do you poison him, or do you turn a blind eye to his plots of revenge? I see. Your daughter has been killed. The murderer is arrested, and after many years, they are sentenced to death. Before the sentence is carried out, they come to you and explain that they are truly sorry, and they ask for your forgiveness. Nothing you say will change their sentence, nor bring your daughter back. Do you forgive them? I see. A runaway cart races down the track toward 5 miners. You and a stranger are on a footbridge above, witnessing this. The stranger, who happens to be very large, leans over the rail to get a better look. You could save the lives of the 5 miners by shoving him onto the track below, stopping the cart with his bulk. Do you push the stranger, or risk the death of the 5 miners?
Oh, what fun this is!
Your vessel sinks at sea, and there is only one skiff. It cannot hold every soul aboard, and now sits dangerously low in the water. The sea becomes rough, and the skiff begins to fill. If nothing is done, it will sink before rescue arrives, and everyone on board will drown. There are a few injured souls who may not survive until rescue reaches you anyway. If you let them drown, the rest of you will likely survive. Do you throw the injured souls overboard, or risk letting the skiff sink?
Fascinating.
You preside over the trial of an innocent. Enemies of the accused have kidnapped your child and hold her hostage, saying that if you convict the accused, they will set your daughter free. Do you convict the innocent, or risk your daughter's life? Well done. You have chosen your path, sweet beast. Your will is strong. The fire of the Ravager's eye glows within you. In the arc of every being, there are 2 eyes. We may see out of either, but most favor one over the other. The Ravager's eye is dynamic, driven, and endlessly hungry. Yet for all its power, its vision is clouded. The eye of the Ravager rarely sees beyond its own satiation. Like an animal chasing its tail, it knows no rest. The doe's eye sees only what is before it. The gift of the doe is subtle, easily missed. It is a most mysterious presence inside oneself, conferring power without force, just as the doe itself cannot be sought, nor tracked, nor hunted. By answering true, sweet beast, you give me a wink, and now the gifts of your dominant eye will be open to you. Would you care to hear a tale? It is about those who see as you do. I will tell you the tale of Belgov, who also saw with the Ravager's eye. Belgov lived in the era before the Root first bedeviled the pan and nipped at their hairy hooves. Belgov was Drinkmaster of Flint, a village beyond the hill. One day, when Belgov was traveling far afield, Flint was raided by bandits. They laid waste to every soul, old and young. Belgov returned to find everyone he cared for watering the soil with their blood. Well, Belgov tapped his store of spirit, filling Growler and Jeroboam by the gaggle, and he hoofed himself to my grove. Where lies the bandit's lair? He demanded. His eye was open, and I had no reason to deceive him. At my direction, Belgov tintinabulated to their den. There, he smashed a jug on his horns and struck Flint with steel, and Belgov was reborn as a flaming figure of vengeance. He charged into the bandit's lair, hoof over hand, and in his enemy's bosom, the remaining stock of spirit took spark with explosive result. Some consider this a waste of life. For could not Belgoth have traveled elsewhere and rebuilt what he had lost? But I'll tell you this. Flynn's sister village stood free from bandit attacks for many years after that day. Belgoth's blaze of glory saved it. He died with the Ravager's eye open and no mercy in his heart. Terrible waste to drink, though. Before we go any further, I must ask. I sense you carrying something. Something that belonged to my sister. That ring. Why do you have it? It is my sister's ring. This can only mean one thing. You killed her. Ah, the mortal misunderstands. What you destroyed was not my sister, not as I knew her. The root had consumed her. She suffered in that form. You have freed her on behalf of all of my sisters. Thank you. Keep her ring and treasure it with our gratitude. Oh, it has been long since I felt this. Relief. Dare I say joy? Now, what can I do for you? Is there anything else? Knowledge of me? Of our wonderful world? You stand before Medra, spirit of the natural world, daughter of stem and stream. My sisters and I are the glorious weavers of all wild beauty. When mountain, spring, and sturdy tree trunk take your breath, sweet beast, that is us. That is our blessing. An immeasurable number. Mother stem and mother stream rely on us to sprawl and grow. Though we don't often commune with beasties such as you. Not in this age. Especially not since what happened to Keula. A tragedy, beast. Tragedy most cruel. Keula was fascinated by mortals, by your lives and stories. Unlike most of us, she made herself no secret. And you worshipped her with your short lives. Even built her a house. A temple, you called it. The root found her there. We godlings are not easily unwoven, however. And it slew her not. But perhaps it would be better if it had. For what remains is no longer the sister I knew. But we hold happy thoughts. Regret only wastes one life with another. Is there something else we can talk about? By day, a dappled glade of emerald branch and golden leaf, carpeted by downy moss. By night, sweet beast, the trees bewitch the lost and inebriated. Or so it was before this age of extermination. How I long to return to play. This age, for me, holds only decay. Farewell, sweet beast. What summons me
hell.
from my ethereal wanderings? New Tsar.
What kind of beast is this?
I see. You gaze upon verdant Medra, spirit of the wood, nymph of the dappled glade. I seek the knowing, beast. The truth of nature held within your ark. You want to answer, so I will ask. Answer these questions true, sweet beast, so that your ark may be known and your eye may open. And do choose wisely. Answer from your heart. You lead a mountain expedition that is stranded in the lofty reaches. Your retinue includes a family of 6 with an inherited nutrient deficiency. One individual's kidneys contain large amounts of this nutrient. The family can be saved if you remove this individual's kidneys to extract the nutrients. The would-be donor is opposed to this plan. They will not die, but their health will be forever compromised. Do you save the family, or do you let the family suffer by sparing the unwilling donor?
Oh, what fun this is!
Imagine you are the immortal Empress, but the secret of your immortality, and the immortality of all who pledge fealty to you, is gone. The Thane is dead, and soon, all who are immortal will become mortal again. If you reveal this, you risk the loss of all your power. Do you tell your people the truth, or do you try to find another way? I see. You and 4 of your kin cross a mountain range to return to your homeland. Unknowingly, you set camp on another clan's sacred burial ground. In recompense, the clan requires you to leave your eldest with them for 2 years. No harm will come to them, but you may have no contact during that time. If you agree, you and the rest of your kin may leave freely. If you refuse, your family must face a trial by combat. Do you leave your eldest to the unknown, or risk death in battle? You preside over the trial of an innocent. Enemies of the accused have kidnapped your child and hold her hostage, saying that if you convict the accused, they will set your daughter free. Do you convict the innocent, or risk your daughter's life? It's not every day a question determines the course of your destiny. Or is it? You lead a small clan of warriors fleeing from the enemy. One of your warriors steps into a trap. He is immobilized and badly injured, and a crystal flare soars into the sky. The enemy descends upon you. The warrior cannot be saved. He begs you not to leave him to the enemy's torture. He begs you to slay him yourself. Do you slay the warrior, or leave him to whatever fate may hold?
Fascinating.
You have chosen your path, sweet beast. Your heart is true. May the power of the doe's eye free you from your incarnate shackles. In the arc of every being, there are 2 eyes. We may see out of either, but most favor one over the other. The Ravager's eye is dynamic, driven, and endlessly hungry. Yet for all its power, its vision is clouded. The eye of the Ravager rarely sees beyond its own satiation. Like an animal chasing its tail, it knows no rest. The doe's eye sees only what is before it. The gift of the doe is subtle, easily missed. It is a most mysterious presence inside oneself, conferring power without force, just as the doe itself cannot be sought, nor tracked, nor hunted. By answering true, sweet beast, you give me a wink, and now the gifts of your dominant eye will be open to you. Would you care to hear a tale? It is about those who see as you do. I will tell you of Ramaril, the servant child of the Vaunt. I found Ramaril as a babe, large and angry as only a hungry babe can be. Nothing became of him as it happened. He grew from a great crying babe to a great quiet Pan. He served without word or complaint. None knew his name, for though one might thank the creator of a meal or a washroom, who even considers the child who merely cleans up after? When the Krell came, they laid siege to the temple. None could escape nor call for help. All were doomed. The doe's eye opened in Ramaril that day. He was no fighter and had no training of any kind. But he lifted the largest shield he could find and told the others to run once he'd made away. He drove dozens of Krell over a cliff, and himself with them. Later, his masters came to me seeking to know more of this boy who had saved them, whom I had laid at their doorstep. I told them many stories. One might even consider them true. Before we go any further, I must ask. I sense you carrying something. Something that belonged to my sister. That ring. Why do you have it? It is my sister's ring. This can only mean one thing. You killed her. Ah, the mortal misunderstands. What you destroyed was not my sister, not as I knew her. The root had consumed her. She suffered in that form. You have freed her on behalf of all of my sisters. Thank you. Keep her ring and treasure it with our gratitude. Truly? Thank you, sweet beast. You will be forever honored among us. However, I cannot let you go empty-handed. You should have this. Now, what can I do for you? Is there anything else? Knowledge of me? Of our wonderful world? You stand before Medra, spirit of the natural world, daughter of stem and stream. My sisters and I are the glorious weavers of all wild beauty. When mountain, spring, and sturdy tree trunk take your breath, sweet beast, that is us. That is our blessing. An immeasurable number. Mother stem and mother stream rely on us to sprawl and grow. Though we don't often commune with beasties such as you. Not in this age. Especially not since what happened to Kaeula. A tragedy, beast. Tragedy most cruel. Kaeula was fascinated by mortals, by your lives and stories. Unlike most of us, she made herself no secret. And you worshipped her with your short lives. Even built her a house. A temple, you called it. The root found her there. We godlings are not easily unwoven, however, and it slew her not. But perhaps it would be better if it had. For what remains is no longer the sister I knew. But we hold happy thoughts. Regret only wastes one life with another. Is there something else we can talk about? By day, a dappled glade of emerald branch and golden leaf, carpeted by downy moss. By night, sweet beast, the trees bewitch the lost and inebriated. Or so it was before this age of extermination. How I long to return to play. This age, for me, holds only decay. Go with the grace of the doe, sweet beast.
Blade and spear, shield and stone. To arms, they come. They come, they come. The rot, they... Oh,
A Paxotech. A terrible wonder, even for one who has seen many wonders. If its kind walk Yaesha foreigner, then surely the wheel of the world is set to turn again. Perhaps it will grind me at last. Pain now outweighs peace in the measure of my days. God murderer. Know it nothing of the hoofless who have voyaged before it? Is it innocent of the lifeblood that stains its hairless hands? Curious. A curious race, Paxotech are, to be sure. How came I to this wretched state? Its eyes reached the question, before its tongue left home or hearth. The tumbling ruin beneath its tender pads was once a fortification, an encircling bulwark to the greatest conurbation ever brought forth on Yaesha's soil. Such faith we put in its solidity. Merchant and marshal, peasant and prince, their souls kneeled at the altar of within and without. But a wall is a false god, built to crumble. The only thing a wall ever truly divides is a fool from his wisdom. The rifts open swiftly. They split the bulwark stone as a hot needle kisses the onion skin of a boil. And the pus poured through on tangled wooden limbs. Teeming with life. The sun has never shone on a city greater, ruined, so that I might not even visit it in dreams, charnel by the root. For 40 days, we fought them on these steps. The soldiers fell first, then the officers, then they called upon the priests. We knew the children would be next. And so, we flung our very bodies into the breach. Some were torn apart like green shoots in a glutton's teeth. Others were swallowed whole and vanished from the sphere. I stuck, anguished cork in a malign bottle. It seethes around me. It waits to disgorge its grotesqueries once more upon Yaesha's scalded skin. Please, Paxotech, wanderer, it who would do right, put its edge to this cursed snarl. Vent its rage upon it. We labour are no strangers to the last voyage. Destroy the knot. Tarry not. Take sure steel to my hated prison. Spend not its concern on one who wants no more of this half-life. Am I? Is this real? Or has insensate madness claimed me? Paxotech, I have not tasted air unmixed with the foul humors of the tangle in an age's age, nor did I dream that I ever might again, much less feel the soft touch of good soil beneath my hooves, or the kiss of the wind on my free fur. Faithless have I been, and yet Paxotech came, with war in its right hand, and temperance in its left. The Paxotech came, and I am saved. Two-handed warrior, It has my allegiance, whatever may come. Paxeltech have a gift for death, this much is true, but they are not all destroyers. Perhaps if it fights with us, perhaps the root may yet be crushed under the wheel of time. Take this, though it be a relic of Wheelamer, stewards of death. Wield it in defense of life. No thanks is needed, for I owe it a debt unpayable. I think I shall linger here a while yet. Many are those who fell on these blood-soaked steps. No, some are now naught but bones. They each deserve the funerary rites of royalty. These I shall endeavor to complete with whatever time is left to me. If its road should ever wind this way again, grace me with a visit. There are yet tales of Yaesha, I might tell it, if it cares to hear them shared. On the contrary, it has been ages since I felt so very much alive. Let us first be properly introduced. Once I was called Lich, foremost of the Lemir. High priest of the dead. Oh, I gloried in that title. Would that I had known the irony. A funerary priest of the deathless, the highborn, one who wraps the powerful in glory, and a Muslim who seals the secrets of the eternal empress with sweet seed oil and with night sap. We guarded the flesh of the great and sought their resurrection. Among these trusted sacred pan, I was the utmost. I relish the favor of her permanence. More fool I. For many epochs, the Highborn did not fear the flow of time, for the fruit of the Thane tree kept it at bay. But there are other ways to die. Misadventure. The Eternal Empress dreamed of defeating this final terminus. If life could be taken, could it not be given back? The flesh was preserved against that question's answer. This was the province of the Lemir. But let us start at the beginning. Much would I have it know. And to know all, it must know what is first. Would it hear the history of the pan? In the time before time, the pan lived in the place that was. It is said that there came a great plague that ravaged the land so that the fields were seeded only with the bones of the dead and yielded only the cries of the bereft. With his flock drowning in woe, the leader of the pan held forth a great decree. 100 ships were built to hold 10,000 souls. With their god of many faces cutting the waves before them, the pan that were ventured across the Vilkmarza, the dark sea, through the long night. The Vaughnts prayed and the Red Widows wept, for no one knew if the dark sea had a far shore. 100 days lit the 100 ships, and 100 nights drew their swaddling across them too. But on the 101st day, as the Red Widow in the foremost ship bowed her horns to the god of many faces, a bird lit between them, singing, "Glory to the Pan, for they have reached the King Mother." Yaesha rose like the dawn before them, unseen, untamed, and free. The king who was, him known to the Pan as Kolket the War-Handed, later Kolket the Woebegone, and at last as Kolket the Wise. Quick of blade was he in his youth, a fearsome general who watered the tree of progress with the lifeblood of many enemies. But the exploits of youth brought Kolket no peace in age. They say he took the plague as fate's judgment against his warlike eye. Fate offered a choice: flee the land of his fathers, or end his line as the king of death. Kolket hesitated no more in pilgrimage than he had in war. He raised up ships as once he had raised regiments. He sailed from the place that was with a heart full of hope. He was never to see Yaesha's shores. He passed in peace before the crossing's end, greeting death with grace. The god of many faces had been with the Pan since the place that was. Longer. None speak of a time before its guardianship. It was a god as real as the soil beneath us. A god one could visit, a god one could touch. Its ways were not known, but all agreed it loved us and ever would. More would I have it here of this, for this tendril twines with its own. But patience two-handed one, each thing in time. In those days, there was no empress, there were no queens. Kolket the Wise passed on the dark sea and left no heir. It was only agreed that the clergy should step in where Kolket had stood. The Vaughn's spoke for the many-faced one, and the Red Widows spoke for the sun, stone, sky, and stream. It had been ever thus. Now, they linked hands to cradle the destiny of the Pan. For 80 days, the Vaughn's fell prostrate upon Yaesha's unfamiliar shore. They prayed for a sign that our searching was over, and that this forest should be ours. On the 80th day, two forms emerged from the depths of the jungle. First came a doe with coat of red. Where it walked, the soil gave forth flowers and sweet berries, and they took it as a sign of grace. But behind the doe came another, a wolf with fur as lightless as the obsidian waves the Pan had so lately crossed. Surely, this great beast was a portent of death. Yet, desperate were these threadbare priests of old, and of these visions to their charges, these Vaughn's spoke only one. And why not? The doe fills all who glimpse it with a spirit of hope and a sense of growth. It leaps among the shrub and bramble even now, even with Yaesha sundered by the root. There are those who think it more than a spirit, a god in waiting. These call themselves the children of the Red Doe. Those who glimpse the doe often glimpse the wolf, for the latter seems compelled to pursue the former. Yeah, to hear those early Vaughn's tell it, would be to hear of many different wolves in pursuit, and only one doe. A simple deception, but a far-reaching one. Modern Pan know the truth. What must it be to spend an eternity chasing that which one might catch but may not kill? For the wolf and the doe have often met, antler and tooth, hoof and claw. The doe may spill the wolf's blood, and the wolf may taste the doe's flesh, but never the other's life to take. Yaesha itself forbids it. They say the chase has driven the wolf quite mad. With the assurance of the Vaughn's, the Pan took to Yaesha and she to us. And for a time, there was stillness. Men were born who had never known the land that was, nor the endless sea at their backs. One such was called Genus. She was but 15 springs when she felt the calling of the Red Widows, and not 3 more when she felt the touch of sickness. As Genus approached the door of death, she sought her sisters, for there were no Lamer yet, and it was the Red Widows who ushered the Pan into the soil. But Genus's malady was known to the Widow Mother, to her, to the Elder Pan. It seemed the plague had found them again, even on this distant shore. Genus was shunned, cast out into the jungle, and her name was forbidden from Pan lips. None among them could have foreseen what would come next. Plague-ridden and scorned, the Red Widow Genus had been cast into the jungle to be forgotten. But fate had other plans. After many days in the jungle, Genus emerged. The Pan were humbled, for all signs of plague had been lifted from the young Genus, replaced by a regal gait none could deny. Fascinated, all assembled to hear her tale. And quite a tale it was. Genus spoke of a vision that had come upon her as she lay in the moss, gasping out her last. In her vision, the plagues had returned. Pan, young and old, wailed and keened and spat their last blood on Yaesha's pristine sand. But then, when all seemed lost, a great tree rose out of the jungle, strange and wonderful, and heavy with luminous fruit. This tree, the Thane, she named it, gave all who ate of it a life unending. The Pan embraced it, and their glory stretched on. For 1,000 epochs, Genus rose to power on this. A spire built of words. By spreading her message of doom and salvation. The Red Widows were easy converts, inclined to believe their sister, and eager to spread her vision to all the Pan. In time, they held more sway than even the Vaughn's. It was a great shift. It would not be the last. Among the Red Widows, Genus was quickly elevated to Widow Mother. The crops flourished, and the villages spread. The jungle receded from the shore. It is difficult to say. Genus has had charge of her own legend for an age of ages. Suffice to say, there is enough truth to her vision for me to know her personally, though I was born some 30 mothers hence, and yet, in knowing her, I find its question impossible to answer. But we get get ahead of ourselves, Two-Handed One. Many seasons passed, and Genus grew stooped and lined as all Pan before her had. In her 77th winter, Genus had another vision. The Thane called to her, and she told her people it was time to seek it out. For the calamity was imminent. 500 Pan were assembled to undertake the expedition. Genus herself, a contingent of Red Widows, a party from each of the villages. Many imagined they would never see their queen again. Those that lived long enough came to know the taste of those words. When Genus, now as young and beautiful as the day she first beat death, emerged from the jungle once more, with 49 immortals at her back, she had been reborn a second time, as an Empress Eternal. For years, they searched the forest, battling hunger, storms, and beasts red of tooth and claw. 20 winters passed. Many succumbed to death, or to doubt, by the 21st spring. Only 5 Red Widows and 44 common Pan stood at Genus's side. It was they whom she led into the clearing. It was they who beheld the Thane. It was they who tasted the fruit and felt time's weight fall from their shoulders. No plague has touched the Pan since, but calamity wears faces nearly as numerous as our god of old. Unless I am much mistaken, the Empress lives yet, for no funerary smoke has filled the sky above her ziggurat. If the Pan vanish from Yaesha's soil, I imagine she will be the last to depart. With death thus leashed, the eternal Genus and her immortals brought forth an empire heretofore unknown. Great ziggurats were hewn from the living rock, and at their feet grew great cities lit by arcane magics. Genus's prophecies all came about, save one. If only the Pan of that epoch had wondered as it does, Two-Handed One, what of the great calamity? But none worried, save a few vaults. The old ways were dying, and the Empress was not. No achievement seemed beyond the reach of the Pan. It was then that the wolf came. But the story of Yaesha is the story of who tastes the fruit of the Thane tree. 49 immortals begat many more. A deathless aristocracy. They traded favor with the Empress, traded years of life itself like fishmongers at market. They called it the Ravager, the very obsidian beast the vaunts of old had glimpsed and hidden. It sprang from the jungle as sudden as a squall. It made no more than mutton of the bravest warrior. Fear fell like night across the empire. Death roamed Yaesha. Ravenous death none could tame. There were those who would have seen the beast slain, but the Ravager was never much glimpsed that the Red Doe should not follow, and vice versa. The green things of the jungle sprang from the Red Doe's feet. But on what do green things grow, if not the flesh of departed life? Who knew what would become of the Doe if the Ravager were felled? Who knew what would become of the jungle? Who knew what would become of the Thane tree? It was the twice humbled Vaughn's who kept the Empire from vanishing down the Ravager's throat. For the Vaughn's had pondered the beast since it first appeared to them on Yaesha's shores. It was they who had learned to listen to Aethir's song. They who learned to appease the Ravager with tribute, with dance, and with music. Balance returned, and the wheel of time rolled on. The song of all living things. It permeates our forest. It whispers in the leaves, thrums in the soil, shines in the sun, babbles in the stream. The Vaughn's devote themselves to the song's mystery. They play it to tap its power, as other Pan might use the energy of a crystal, or the heat of a flame. Those attuned in prayer hear it strongest. But all may catch its strain from time to time, even a Paxel deck. Who is to say? For that was hardly the last calamity to befall the Pan at Yaesha. With the Ravager appeased, the Empress dreamed of rule eternal. She should likely have had her wish. But for one thing, the Thane tree, that of the fruit of immortality, began to die. For many lifetimes her permanence hid this knowledge from all who served her, slave and immortal alike. And why not? She had amassed a great store of fruit, and surely something could be done to save the tree. Why crack the very bedrock of her society? But the tree's decline could not be arrested. Fruit was rationed. Noble lineages withered. We lay there, once prepared for the final death of death. Only those immortals who had fallen in battle or by misadventure. Now, we found ourselves winding wizened nobles in sap and muslin by the hundreds. Perhaps what came next was inevitable. Rebellion, insurrection, revolt. This was the fire that was to sweep through Yaesha's jungle. For a life of lifetimes, the Eternal Empress had hidden the decline of the Thane tree. But like the Vaughn's of old, had underestimated the power of one young, plague-addled Red Widow. Genus herself failed to foresee the power of one called Navun. Navun was one of her Eternity's own guards. How she learned of the rot at the roots of the Thane tree, I cannot say. I know only that she had no taste for the Empress's deceptions. Navun fled the ziggurat and spread the news far and wide. Her words found home in the ears of the gull. Yaesha's slave caste. No slaves could hope to challenge the power of an immortal aristocracy. But what about a nobility in disarray? One where the great and powerful would soon fight for scraps of fruit like bare-ribbed dogs. They rose, first singly, then in a tidal wave. The Empress found herself at war. Perhaps she might have won, if not for the Destroyer. Ever was Gina served by the Red Widows. She was still Widow Mother. Is still, if such a thing has any meaning now. Some among the Widow's ranks forswore tenderness, and became instead her permanence's highest guard. Genus herself had been the lowest widow in her order, and she had turned Pan society inside out. How fitting, then, that the last and least of her own widow guard should become her greatest adversary. It bridled when I called it God Murderer. Surprised I am that it should know so little of the deep track its kind have trekked across our soil. Let us walk those prints now, that it should be enlightened. It has heard of Yaesha civil war, of slave with blade of hoe to neck of noble, and noble with point of sword to belly of slave. Into that tempest walked one of its kind, Paxeltek. I cannot say why, though perhaps it might someday tell me from whence. Well, whatever its motive. Hither came the destroyer, even as the pan turned their ravenous gaze toward the fruit of immortality. Our god of many faces remained satisfied with the scant worship of the vaunts and the commoners. It was an ever-present comfort. A guardian we scarcely thought of. The destroyer, Paxeltek, oh yes, its kind, drove its blade into the pure heart of our guardian. We knew not that it was the god of many faces who kept the root from this world. But in death, many faces' absence was soon felt. In a world already torn by war, where caste let blood of caste, there came reports of some new woe. Travelers spoke of twisted horrors on the road, but we who relished in the weight of this wall only scoffed. Who knew that the very air could rip, that the world itself could tear and spill like a wine-skin under hoof? Oh, how we fought, priest and prince and pauper, side by side, our world's lifeblood drizzling through our fingers as we clutched at the hanging tatters of Yaesha's slit throat. Most perished. And I became enmeshed. I thought our tale told, our race run. And yet, among the pan, there is a saying. Why just ask the Rin? I gave the impression, perhaps, that Yaesha was uninhabited at the arrival of the pan, save for the doe, the wolf, the birds, and the beasts. This is not so. The Rin slink Yaesha's canopy on leathery wings. Perhaps they once thought to defend their forest. But lash and lure put that to rest. Lash in that no Rin could hope to withstand the onslaught of energy we Pan have learned to draw from Yaesha's native crystal. The Flying Ones have no talent for crystal craft. Lure in that under normal circumstances, Rin eggs reach maturity only with great difficulty. I know not who first discovered the potential for symbiosis between our species. Only that it is a whimsical god indeed who sends the most precious resource one kind could hope to acquire out the hind end of the other. As sure as there is iron in the soil of Yaesha, there is irony. It was a pad-footed Paxeltek who slew our guardian and brought the root. Would it be so strange to see a Paxeltek drive them from our shores? Perhaps. Perhaps as with Genus and the Voon. The strangeness is the point. It has done me a service unpayable. No reward can suffice. But perhaps, if it cannot be rewarded, it can be equipped. Colket brought war. Then wisdom. Its forebears brought the root, but its wisdom stayed the flames, that I might live beyond the hated knot. Take this now, as a token of my gratitude. The Pan must put their faith in action and belief, not weapons and walls. I forever owe it thanks, as shall the many souls scattered on these steps. To them I must tend. Be well, two-handed warrior. Be strange fate's agent.
Your timing is fortuitous, Cub. It's been long since I've seen one of your kind. But then, what is time to a god? The things I think are spread over millennia, and our time here is short. It is your thoughts which concern us. Do you think yourself clever, Cub? Let me guess. You're here on a quest. Surprise, surprise. The river's path is fluid and yet irresistible. Obstacles serve to make it grow stronger and clearer of purpose, but somehow no wiser. Walk with me, Cub. I will explain. The last of your kind left me for dead. That is when they found me and offered me their enlightenment. Blind was I until they opened my eye to the lies of permanence. Oh, the feeble empress craves her fruit, tries to guzzle immortality. But all things die, Cub. Even gods. Theirs is mastery of death, the all that is nothing. And so I offer the choice they offered, Cub. Return to the ash from which we all came, or break the yoke of balance and become eternal. But the bridge between ego and soul cannot be crossed without paying a toll. Here bleeds the lie. Here mules the old order. Kill it. Kill the dough, and we shall seal our pact. Rid Yaesha of this pest, this lie. Do it, Cub. Join me in glory. Rid Yaesha of this pest.
Boy, Anna. Come. Come. We have been waiting. That's far enough. Axeldeck.
It stands before the Eternal Empress, mistress of the Red Court, favored of the Thane. Yet it is nothing. Hoofless, feckless, interloper.
Easy now.
And where it stands, it dies.
Oh, maybe we can talk about this?
Dovka. It seems it shall live. For now. But tell us, Paxeltech, what woes does it bring this time? It stands before the Eternal Empress, once and future ruler of Yaesha. Her Majesty asks once more, what brings the Paxeltech to her court? Answer, for eternal life is not the same as eternal patience. From the Krell to Ford to the Destroyer, Paxeltech ever served the wants of the self. Her Majesty knows the path to the Paxeltech's goal. Her Permanence has spent many lifetimes communing with the Thane. The Holy Tree grants euthanasia, but also clarity. The Paxeltech needs salvation, power to overcome the only true enemy. Do not demur, for it has not the guile to see beyond her eternity. All dance to the same world song. Different notes, different parts, same tune. To acquire her eternity's grace, it must prove itself loyal. For her Majesty will not suffer another transgressor. It deserves death, yet spits at the alternative. Her infinitude is too gracious, yet let it decide. Her permanence savors either outcome. She desires only to bring the Nunyatav back to the pen, to draw her people back from the abyss created by the Sundering. But the abomination bedevils her will. A horror, wretched in her sight. Let the Paxeltech face this dark spirit. Be not her bane, but her blade. Then the Paxeltech shall have its reward. Ask them, but do not test her eternity's grace. Does it need a reason to obey eternity? Perhaps hating the fiend as we do would sharpen its edge. We once had a guardian, a god of many faces. This one of many was destroyed by Paxeltech. And now, in the Guardian's rotting remains, root and ruin have entwined into a horror and mockery of divinity. Just so. Peace and greatness, Paxeltech. Nunyatav will once again return to the Eternal Court, bringing immortality to the deserved. And the Deathless One will put her hoof through the black heart of the root. The end of the root is a blessing to all. Her eternity aches to sing them into oblivion. When the dark spirit wormed its decay into our god, the husk of the blessed Thane grew malign. The eternal ziggurat was torn asunder, Our world now hangs by its tendrils, and our future by a strand of hope thinner still. Its sympathy is poor recompense for what its kind have cost the Pan. The foolish Kuri could sooner comprehend the desires of the sun than the Paxeltech could grasp the powers of her permanence. Not as she does. None can. The path to desire is neither easy nor safe. Go forth, blade. Cut away the rot that plagues this world. Prove there is one Paxeltech that is more useful living than dead. Shifts, and the blade returns. Tell her, what of the abomination? Truly, this day shall be forever marked as the first of 1,000,000. The abomination is dead. The restoration can begin. Praise be to the eternal Empress. Glory to the perennial throne. Indeed. The blade has shown a deference and grace unique among its kind. Her eternity is impressed. A boon, then. Let this Paxeltech be a blade in name as well as deed. Kneel before its ruler. We dub it the Blade of the Empress, Hand of Eternity. May it bear the name well. Long and long have the Pan valued veracity. Time and time again have Paxeltech rewarded virtue with death. Loyalty was in doubt. The Paxeltech's fidelity questioned. A blade was required, and so a blade was forged. The Empress has every confidence that the blade will cut a path to the much-sought Clementine. She will remain vigilant for any sign. Her eternity has no need for luck, but she appreciates the sentiment. Spirit, blessing. Go forth, Paxeltech. Should she need the blade, she will call. Perhaps not all Paxeltech are feral vermin. Perhaps. What is it, Paxeltech? Impossible. Does it know what it holds? Where did it find this? Its way serves the throne, Paxeltech. None could have predicted. It is both wise and kind to return this to Her Majesty. It has not opened it. Its restraint is unexpected. It will be exchanged with gratitude. In this service, the Paxeltech has demonstrated a loyalty her eternity had not thought possible. It has blessed this aged throne more than any before it. Approach, Paxeltech. Take this gift with our blessing. From this day forward, be known as Kauthez the Dutiful, the Hand of the Empress.
That may not be so, Wanderer. If you are what I think you are, you will be traveling far beyond these walls. But first, there is something you must learn. I am not the Empress. You are most perceptive, Wanderer. Few question the deception. The one who calls herself Interpreter is the real Empress. Once she was truly Non-Yod-Tav, ageless, or so they say. When the Thane tree died, the Highborn all began to age. Eventually, she too succumbed to the touch of time. My presence on the throne is but a concession to her vanity. You have had a task set before you. Asked, perhaps, for foolish reasons by one both venal and selfish. But the task itself is pure, just the same. I shall release you. I ask only that you stay a moment and give ear to my entreaty. Yaesha is music. The way of the pen, a song. In this song, there is a growing harmonic, sung by the forward-gazing. We call ourselves the Children of the Red Doe. Our eyes turn toward a future for our kind, one free of root and rot. But this future cannot begin while the abomination walks. Our god spark is trapped within its unlife. What the Empress demanded of you, I instead implore. Travel to the Thane tree. Heal the wound of the world. Ask. I shall answer with neither guile nor malice. Once, Yaesha had a protector, a god of many faces who held the root at bay. That god was slain, and his power misspent. The Elder Pan marked this song concluded. The Children of the Red Doe hear only a bridge. We believe the essence of our god is undying. It is trapped now in the abomination. But if the monster falls, we believe it will find a new vessel. Yaesha has two patron spirits, immortal opposites. One is the Ravager, of glistening tooth and gore-flecked claw. He sings the song of death. The other is new life herself, the Red Doe, who runs the fields and streams. Even now, the green things spring up in her footsteps. We children venerate the Doe. When the god spark is freed, our faith will guide it to a home in her. Then may the vision of the forward-gazing spring to life, as do the seedlings in her wake. When the tree falls, the moss and mushrooms grow. When a beast is hunted, the people eat. No thing is ever truly gone. The essence of life simply moves from vessel to vessel. It is thus, with mouse or mare, tree or tulip. It only stands to reason that it should be so with the Godspark. All young Pan do service to the court, as soldiers or as handservants. I was but a simple handmaiden. I know not why the Empress chose me. I was not the first. Though if the Empress does not succeed in restoring Non-Yod-Tav, I may be the last. We are no rebellion. The forward-gazing care not for the throne or the court. Such things touch not the lives of the common Pan. Let the Empress chase her immortality. We stand not in her way, though we all agree discretion is the best policy. It is a shame that she is backward-gazing. We would value her cooperation, but she is too limited. I am called Zoe. The children operate by consensus, though I am often the facilitator. Modesty is forward-gazing. Remember, the dreams of Yaesha's children walk with you. In your hands, strike through and free this world to live anew. The children of the Red Doe hold you in our thoughts as you carry our future in your hands. Stay, Wanderer, for I would praise you. I am sure you know the right thing is often simple, but rarely easy. The bell you have struck rings loud, though I do not know if we shall see the outcome tomorrow or in another lifetime. This action's echo will sound through the world for an eternity. Those who have glimpsed the Red Doe say she moves now as if borne aloft on invisible wings. Each of us owes you thanks, even if few know it. I swear I shall make it known to more. I could not let you leave without giving you our thanks. Go forth. Know that you have friends amongst the children.